Handling and using strings in C can be counterintuitive and also tricky, and sometimes it can give you a headache, but it's really important to know how to use strings, because when you're building applications, especially console applications, and then you're parsing some input, some string input, or you're taking some data from a file, then you need to be able to know how to handle strings. In this video, I'm going to go over how strings work in C, and then I'm going to go over some common use cases like how to declare a string, how to initialize a string, how to display strings, how to find the string length, how to get a string user input, how to compare strings, how to copy strings, how to concatenate strings, how to find a substring within a string, and then how to tokenize a string. And I think that covers most of the basic cases for when you would need to use strings in your program. So my name's Henrik, and I'm here to help you learn the software skills and tools you need to grow in your software development journey. So let's get started. By the way, if you're in the early stages of your programming journey, I've got a special gift for you. It's called my 30-day beginner coding challenge. And it's a guide that will take you from no coding experience to building your first 4 projects. And the best part is it's free. It's a free gift to you. In this coding challenge, I guide you in 30 days to build 4 programming projects, and I give you some tutorials that are in C. But of course, these projects are really generic and really beginner friendly, and so you can actually code them in different programming languages. You can still benefit from this guide because you can just take the principles that are in my challenge and then apply them to your programming language. You can find the challenge in the link in the description, and if you download it and pay attention to what it says, you'll definitely learn some fundamental programming concepts that will give you a good foundation to your software development journey. Okay, so what is a string? A string is just a sequence of characters, and when I was first learning about strings in university, I was kind of confused because these are not strings, these are words or phrases. But the way that my professor described it is you want to think of these words or phrases as a sequence of characters, and so that's why they call it string. When you think about words or phrases, they're basically just a sequence of characters, and then string, the idea of string is that you're stringing these characters along into a sequence. Alright, so I have a basic program here, and you can already see there's 2 words here, hello and welcome. And basically, to put them in your program, it's just a sequence of characters. And when you think of the word sequence, you need to think of arrays. So when you think of a sequence of numbers, for example, like a sequence of 7, 5, 0, and 2, in order to have a data structure that will have that sequence of numbers, then you need to declare an array, an int array of size 4 to have that sequence of numbers. Likewise, with a sequence of characters, then you need to have a sequence of chars. So you have char, then you have a string is just an array of chars. So for this hello word, we're declaring a char array of size 20, but really we only need 6 in order to store this word. And that's because we need these 5 letters, these 5 characters to be in this char array, but then we also need something that's called end of string character. And this is actually just 1 character, but when you declare it like this end of string character will be put at the end of this char array. So in this little example here, in this example code, I have an int array, and that one is just for reference. If you already understand int arrays, then you can already understand char arrays, which is just strings. And so I just have that there for reference, and I have these other strings here, these 3 strings. So this first string is just hello, the hello string. And then this string is just a declaration of a string, but it doesn't have an initialization. There's no word that's put in there yet. It's just an array of 20 characters. And then we have another way of declaring a word or a string in C, and then we don't have to put in a number here, and the size is automatically determined. So I'm just giving you 3 examples of how you can declare and initialize your strings. So we're going to run this code. So basically it's just going to print out the individual elements of the int array here, and then it's just going to print this string. So when we print out a string, we don't have to use a for loop. We can just use the %s and in printf, and it will automatically see this is actually a sequence of characters and print it out as a sequence of characters as the string. And so we can actually see what is this going to look like when we run it. Alright, so this is the int array 7502, and then we have the hello string, and then we have the empty string and then the welcome string. And if you notice, even though str1 is 20 characters long, it only displayed up to the end of the O, and that's because there is a hidden null character, and this character tells the printf like only, actually here it tells printf like only print up to the null character. And so we have that null character here, and when you declare it, the null character is there, and so it will only print to the end of the O. Alright, to help you understand this even more, so this is the null character, and if we were to put it here right in the middle of the hello word, the printf is only going to print up to HE, and then you'll see the null character and stop printing. So it's only going to print up to the he over here. So let's run that. And so there you go. It only goes to the end of the E. Alright, next I'm going to show you how you can use the function strlen to get the string length of a string. And this is particularly useful if you're going to iterate over the string. We can just use strlen and then we put the string in there, and then we can get the length of the string. And so in this printf, we're just going to print the string, and then we're going to print the length of the string. So let's run that. Alright, so length of hello is 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then welcome is 3, 4, 7, and so that's how you'd use the strlen. Alright, now let's see how we can get input from a user. So if a user is using our program and then we want to get their string, like if they want to put in their name, then I'm going to go over that. Alright, so here we're going to ask the user their name. So what's your name? And then we're going to do scanf to scan the user input into this string here. So after the user enters their name will be inside str2, and then we can print str2 to verify we actually got their name in the program correctly. And here we're doing 19 because str2 is only 20 characters long, so we want to limit it to 19 characters only. We want to limit the user's input to 19 characters, and we want to leave that 20th character for that null string character, the end of string character. So let's run that. And then what's your name? Henrik. So you entered Henrik. So if I was to put in any other name like John, then it would enter John. And so you can actually get the user input in the program. There is a limitation with scanf, and so if you put in your full name after you get asked this, then it's not going to print out the last name, it's just going to print the first name. So if we were to type in John Doe, it's just going to say you entered John. It's not going to print out the whole name. And so to work around this, you need to use something called fgets. Alright, so this is how you would use fgets or fgets. So you would put in the string here in the first argument, then the second argument you're saying the maximum number of characters to read, and in this case it's going to be 20. So size of str is 20, and then you want to say what is the input stream to read from, and so we're reading from standard input so that the user can input their name here. And so if you run this and then we put John Doe, and there you go. So we have the full name, but there's a problem here. Did you see how the apostrophe mark is over here? That's because it also read in this thing called the end of line character, and end of line character is basically this character here. So when I pressed enter, fgets also read that one. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of that from the string itself after we enter it in. So we can use this line here to get rid of that end of line character and replace it with the end of string character. So basically what this is doing is we're calling a function called strc span, and then we have the string that we're going to search, and then we're going to look for the character, the end of line character. And so if we find that end of line character, we return at one point in the string does that happen, and then we're going to access that part of the str2 array, and then we're going to replace that array, or we're going to replace that character, this character, with this character. And so if you see, if you run this code and then we type in John Doe, and then there you go. So it says you entered John Doe. So it replaced that end of line character with the end of string character. All right, next we're gonna go over how to compare strings, and this is particularly useful for like if and else statements. A lot of times when you're starting out, you want to do something like if strs2 is equals to this, and if you're a noob, then you'll do this, and then you'll compile it, and then say you're running it. It doesn't actually tell you that there's something wrong here. It just gives you a warning, and so you think everything is fine, and then you type in your name. And then it says your name is not Henrik, and you're confused. What do you mean? I just typed in Henrik. So it says your name is not Henrik, your name is Henrik. So that doesn't make any sense. So that's because you can't use an if and else statement with string like this. You have to use string compare. And so this string compare will compare str2 with this one, and if they're the same, then it's going to return 0, and if it returns 0, then that means that str2 is actually Henrik, so then it says your name is Henrik. But if it's not, then if it returns a non-zero value, that means the strings are not the same, so it'll go to this else condition, and then it'll say your name is not Henrik. So let's see this in action. So we type in Henrik, and now it says you entered Henrik and your name is Henrik. Okay, so now it works, but let's try the case when it doesn't work. So type in John, and then it says your name is not Henrik, your name is John. All right, next we're going to talk about copying strings, and this is particularly useful when you want to store a value inside the string, because you can't do something like this. Intuitively, you would want to do something like this, and say you had a struct or you had some data structure that had a string in it and you wanted to set it to a certain value. You're tempted to do this because this is how you do it with all of your variables, right? But you can't do that. You have to use something called strcopy or string copy. And so this is how you would do it. You would have your string declared somewhere, but it's not initialized to anything, to any values. And so you would use string copy to store your string inside str4. All right, so let's run that. And then there you go. So now string 4 has, even though I declared it I didn't initialize it to anything, I can actually set it to this string here and then print it here. Okay, next we're going to talk about string concatenation, and string concatenation is just putting strings together. And so here we have string 4, and it was originally hello there, right? And then we can put a space in there, so then it will become like this, and then str2 would be your name, right? We put that earlier as the name that you're entering here, so then it would put your name, and then it would have, well, I would put in my name, and then it would say hello there Henrik. I've mostly used string concatenation when I'm trying to output like some data from my program into a CSV file, so I would often use string concatenation and use this comma. And then this is how you get CSV files. So it's comma separated values. So this is value 1, this is value 2, and then you're separating them by this comma. So let's run this one. And then you type in your name, and then there's the string 4, and then it's the concatenated string is hello there Henrik. All right, next I'm going to go over how to find a substring, and the substring is just a string within a string. And so we have this string that we created earlier with the string concatenation. So within this substring, or sorry, within this string here, the hello there Henrik string, we want to look for the word Henrik, and we want to see if it's found in there. And if it's found in there, so this str function, it's going to look for Henrik inside this str4. This is str4. And then it's going to look for it. It's going to return that location for that string, and then when it finds it, it's going to be a non-null value, and then we're going to use printf to print the string up. Once we find that location, probably right here, then we're going to print everything up to the end of line character. But if we can't find it, then it's just going to say that the substring was not found, and then we're just going to print the string that we were searching, like the original string, this hello there Henrik string. And this is particularly useful if you're trying to do some sort of program where you're looking for a keyword, like if you're doing something like Control F and you want to parse, you want to look in your file, you want to find if there's ever an occurrence of this special sequence of characters, like this special string, then you would use this function. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so I typed in Henrik, it says you entered Henrik, or your name's Henrik. Hello there is str4, but then you concatenate it and then you get this new str4, and then it looks for the word Henrik and it's able to find it. But now, just to help you understand this a little more, say we want to look for the word there. So if we find there, what's going to happen is it's going to look for there within this str4. It's going to find it, it's going to point to this location, and then when we do the printf, we do %s, it's going to print from there all the way up to here, and then it's going to find the end of line character over here. So it's going to print there Henrik. So that's how this str works. So let's run this one. And so there you go. So the string str4 is this, hello there Henrik. Then it says it found the word or the string there, and then when it found there, it just continued printing until it found the end of line character. And so that's how this str works. It's just going to point to that initial location from when it first found the there word or the there string. Alright, now last but not least, we're going to talk about how to tokenize a string. And to tokenize a string is just to get the individual tokens or individual parts of a string. So this string has a bunch of words in it, like please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So it has these different tokens, and this is like, for example, this is token 1, token 2, token 3. Oh, it also includes the comma. And so we're going to use a space as a delimiter, and a delimiter is just a character that we're going to use to separate our string. So it's going to cut this string based on the spaces. So that's why I'm saying that this is token 1, this is going to be token 2, this is going to be token 3, etc, etc. So what we do is we have a token character pointer, and then it's going to equal strtok and then we're going to put this character, we're going to put this string here, and then we're going to use space as a delimiter, and then token is going to, we're going to printf token, and it's going to just print the please here. It's just going to find the first time the space happened, and then it's going to print out this token. And if we want to keep tokenizing the string, we have to use this line here, and this one will just say, okay, continue going until you find the next space. So it's gonna be pointing to the please here, and then it's gonna keep going, and then it's gonna look for the next space, and when it finds the next space, it's gonna start pointing over here. And so let's run this and just to see what it looks like. All right, so there you go. So it says please like with the comma, share, comma, and subscribe to Henrik M. Dev. And so we're able to split this string into different tokens, into different strings. And this is particularly useful if you have a CSV file where all of your values are separated by commas. And then so you wouldn't use space as a delimiter, you would use commas. So with this comma, you can get your CSV file, you can read a line from that CSV file, and then you can parse through that CSV file. You can get the data or get the values from that CSV file using the strtok. And for example, pretend that this is one of the lines from that CSV file. So now it's able to separate please like this section here, and then share, and subscribe to Henrik M. Dev with the exclamation point at the end. And so this is really useful. This strtok is really useful when you're parsing through some comma separated value file, and you can get all your data that way. And then you can store your tokens. You don't have to store it in the same token variable. You can store it in different variables, and then you can get all your data from that CSV file. You can actually use this technique with one of my free programming guides, my personalized finance app programming guide. And in that guide, I basically teach you how to take your credit card transactions and then categorize them into different budget categories so you know how much you're spending. And we often, or in that guide, I'll encourage you to use strtuck to be able to parse through your CSV file. This CSV file would come from your credit card company, and your credit card company would just give you a CSV file of all your transactions, and then you can use strtuck to parse through that CSV file and create your budget application that way. All right, there you go. So I basically did a full tutorial on strings and covered all the basic use cases for strings, and now you can use them in your application. And I'm curious to hear from you too. What kind of applications are you building, or what kind of programs are you building to use strings? And I want to know how you're going to be using strings in your program. All right, like I mentioned earlier, if you're just starting off in your programming journey and you don't know where to start, you can download my 30-day beginner coding challenge. And it's a 30-day guide where I teach you how to build those 4 beginner programming projects. It's really beginner friendly, and I go step by step on how to build each one and then go through the tutorials that you need to build each one. So download that in the link in the description. All right, that's it for this week's video. I hope it really helped you out and gave you a complete understanding about strings in C. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments section, and I'll be sure to help you out. And please like and share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.